Let's get started with our first story. Ilia Topuria refuses to fight a contender and reacts to Paddy Pimblett. Ilia Topuria had some interesting thoughts to share after watching Paddy Pimblett's performance at UFC 314. While he acknowledged that Paddy did a good job and handled his business inside the octagon, Topuria was quick to downplay the level of competition. Specifically, he made it very clear that he does not consider Michael Chandler to be an elite level fighter. During his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, Topuria didn't hold back. He said, "He did a great job. He did what he had to do. But for me, I'm going to be completely honest with you. For me, Chandler was never an extraordinary fighter. He was more of an average level guy. I mean, who did he beat in the UFC? So he beat Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson. And let's be real, Ferguson was almost 40 years old when that happened." Topuria then shifted his attention to the style of fighting that Chandler typically brings to the octagon. He explained that while fans enjoy watching wild, aggressive fights, those kinds of bouts often lack the technique that separates good fighters from great ones. "At the end of the day, you see wars," he said. "It's a very competitive fight. You almost see a bar fight. Two guys in the middle of the octagon exchanging punches. But you don't see technique. You don't see skills. You see a great fight, because for fans, that's entertaining. But if you take a step back and really think about it, you don't see someone trying to take you down, control you, go for great submissions, execute transitions, striking, combinations. None of that. You don't see a guy creating spaces, setting traps, or fighting with strategy. It's just wild hogs going at it, and that's cool. We need guys like him, but I would never recommend someone to watch Chandler and try to learn something from him." Topuria didn't stop there. He also revealed what he wants next in his career, and it's not a contender fight. He made it crystal clear he only wants a title shot. "I wouldn't fight for a #1 contender fight. No. Yeah, of course. I only want to fight for the title. I don't care if Islam decides he doesn't want to fight me. I'll sit. You're gonna have to fight me. You say you're a world champion and that you're going to keep dominating the division. I'm here. You can't keep avoiding me all the time." Moving on to another story, Arman Tsarukyan believes he will be fighting for the interim lightweight title very soon. According to Arman, if Islam Makhachev decides to move up to the welterweight division, then the lightweight division is going to need a new face holding the belt, at least temporarily. And Arman believes he is going to be that man. Right now, all eyes are on UFC 316, where welterweight champion Belal Muhammad is scheduled to defend his belt against the dangerous rising star Jack Della Maddalena. If Islam Makhachev sees an opportunity to challenge the winner of that fight and make history by becoming a 2-division champ, then it opens the door for an interim title bout in the lightweight division. And that's exactly where Arman Tsarukyan believes he comes in. Let's be honest, no one wants to fight Arman right now, and it's not because he's not good enough. In fact, it's the opposite. Arman is a dangerous fight for anyone in the division. He's got elite grappling, solid striking, insane cardio, and a hunger that makes him extremely tough to deal with. But the problem is, he doesn't have a title yet. So guys like Charles Oliveira, Ilia Topuria, and others are avoiding the risk and waiting around for direct shots at the belt. Everyone wants the title, but nobody wants to go through Arman to get it. Arman recently said in an interview, "When that title fight is booked, then I'm going to get the fight." He continued, "Are they going to give me the title fight? It depends if Islam moves up to 170. If he does, yeah, they've got to give me the interim title with somebody." He's not wrong. If Islam vacates or even just goes inactive for a few months to chase welterweight glory, the UFC will likely need to keep the lightweight division moving, and Arman has earned his spot at the top. He's not only calling for a title opportunity, he's also ready to take on anyone, whether it's Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, or even a returning Dustin Poirier. Arman believes he's the most deserving fighter to compete for that interim strap. Now all eyes are on UFC 316, because if Islam Makhachev makes the jump, Arman Tsarukyan might just be the next man to wear UFC gold. Moving on to another update, Renato Moicano didn't hold back when reacting to Sean Strickland's comments following Bryce Mitchell's recent loss. As many fans know, Bryce Mitchell suffered a second-round submission loss to Gene Silva, and the result shocked a lot of people. Bryce is known for his strong wrestling, relentless pressure, and most of all, his outspoken Christian faith. He talks about God in nearly every interview, walks out with a Bible, and openly shares his beliefs. But after the loss, Sean Strickland, who's not only a fellow fighter but also a friend of Bryce Mitchell, made some controversial remarks online that didn't sit well with a lot of fans, and certainly not with Renato, Renato Moicano. Sean took to X, formerly Twitter, and posted, "Well, looks like God isn't real." Then he doubled down, writing, "If there was a God, to think he would actually give a flying bleep in MMA is crazier than thinking the earth is flat. Gambling, violence, ring girls. Let's be honest, if God is real, MMA is the devil's work." Now, Renato Moicano saw those comments and made it clear he didn't like them at all. In an interview, Moicano said, I knew that was, man, I know there were a lot of people supporting Bryce Mitchell, you know? A lot of people. And I think that's what changed the odds." He went on to explain that stylistically, it was a very bad matchup for Bryce. But then he addressed Strickland's comments directly, saying, "I know Sean Strickland made some comments about God and all that, and I didn't like it, to be honest, because I think it's not fair." Moicano explained that he respects people's beliefs and feels it's wrong to mock someone's faith, especially after a loss. He added, "I was intrigued to see how Bryce Mitchell would respond to that, because one thing is when you believe in God and use that as promotion." Bryce Mitchell said, like, "God is by my side, the other guy has a demon," and all that stuff, right? So when you lose, that doesn't look very well. Moicano's take is clear. He believes faith should be respected in the fight game, and that Strickland crossed the line with his public comments, even if they were meant as a joke. And now the MMA world waits to see, how will Bryce Mitchell respond? Moving on to another exciting story, Gene Silva recently had a face-to-face moment with the former featherweight king himself, Alexander Volkanovski, and now Silva is officially campaigning for a featherweight title shot, and he wants Volkanovski next. It's no secret that Gene Silva has been making serious waves in the division. After his dominant submission win over Bryce Mitchell, Silva's stock has skyrocketed, and it seems like he's not wasting any time calling for the biggest opportunity of his career. Just days after Aljamain Sterling expressed interest in fighting Diego Lopes, Silva chimed in on social media with a pitch of his own. He said, "You versus Ortega, me versus Volkanovski. It fits the right narrative." And honestly, it kind of does. Fans are already speculating about potential matchups at the top of the division, with Sterling, Ortega, Lopez, Silva, and Volkanovski all floating near title contention. It's the perfect moment to line up exciting fights. But then came the highlight of the week. Silva posted photos of himself with Volkanovski, capturing a rare and unexpected run-in. The two fighters looked relaxed and friendly, but the caption said it all. Silva wrote, "Well, the first picks we already have. Would be a nice poster and an insane fight for the belt, right? At Alexander Volkanovski." A few hours later, he added 2 more photos, clearly doubling down on his request. The message was clear. John Silva wants that title shot, and he wants it against Volk. And to be fair, can you blame him? Volkanovski may no longer be the current featherweight champion after his loss to Ilia Topuria, but he's still one of the most respected and dangerous fighters in UFC history. A win over Volk would instantly skyrocket Silva into superstardom. Of course, Volk hasn't responded yet, and it remains to be seen if the UFC is ready to make that matchup. But the idea is now out there, and fans are buzzing. So now we ask you, who do you think wins at this point in time? Would John Silva's explosive style overwhelm Volkanovski, or would Volk's experience, IQ, and pressure be too much for the rising star? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're reading all of them. Now on to another intriguing update. It looks like Jon Jones may have taken a subtle shot at Dominic Reyes. Or did he? Late last night, Jon Jones made a mysterious post on X, formerly Twitter, and then immediately deleted it, but not before fans caught a screenshot. Jones wrote, "The guy who was known for calling out Jon Jones and didn't end up being great at all." That's it. Short, cryptic, and clearly loaded with meaning. Now, Jones didn't name names, but the internet wasted no time in trying to figure out who he was referring to, and the name that kept popping up across fan forums, Reddit threads, and MMA Twitter, Dominic Reyes. And honestly, it makes sense. Reyes was one of the loudest voices calling out Jon Jones during his reign at light heavyweight. He talked the talk and even had a very competitive fight with Jones back at UFC 247 in 2020, a fight that many fans and analysts believe Reyes actually won. But since that night, things have gone downhill for Dominic Reyes. He's been on a 4-fight losing streak, suffering brutal knockouts and struggling to find his footing. A far cry from the man who once came razor close to dethroning one of the greatest champions headlines in MMA history. So now, with that post, many believe Jon is revisiting old beefs and throwing subtle jabs at a former opponent who didn't quite live up to the hype. Was it unnecessary, petty, or just classic Jon Jones mind games? Some fans think Jones might have been referring to another fighter entirely, maybe someone else who made a name off calling him out, like Anthony Smith or even Israel Adesanya, though the latter seems less likely. But let's be honest, the timing, the tone, and the wording of the post line up almost perfectly with Reyes' career trajectory. So what do you think? Was Jon Jones talking about Dominic Reyes? Or was it someone else? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your take on this one. In another wild update, Ilia Topuria and Joe Rogan have both taken aim at Conor McGregor, and they're not holding back. While it still remains unclear whether Conor McGregor will ever return to the octagon, a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience gave fans a juicy update. Ilia Topuria revealed that he and the UFC actually had initial talks about a possible fight with the Irish superstar. Topuria said, "Actually, we had that talk a little bit. You know how the UFC is. Very specific. Don't say anything to no one. If they offered me a fight with Conor right now, why not? I wouldn't say no. It's no secret that a fight with Conor McGregor is the biggest payday in MMA, so for Topuria, the opportunity is a no-brainer. But money aside, he also questioned Conor's current state, both physically and mentally. Topuria continued, his toe is, his chin is, his body is. With that much parties and all that, you're gonna have to pay the price at some point. You're paying the price with your health, which is the dumbest thing you can do in your entire life." Topuria is referring to the infamous toe injury that took McGregor out of his long-anticipated bout with Michael Chandler. But according to Topuria, it's not just the toe, it's a reflection of a bigger problem. He believes McGregor's rockstar lifestyle, filled with non-stop parties and chaos, is finally catching up to him. Later in the conversation, the discussion shifted to Paddy Pimblett's recent win over Chandler, and whether a McGregor versus Pimblett matchup could actually happen. Many fans have been skeptical of Pimblett's chances in a fight like that, but Topuria had a different take. If they put him against Paddy, I think Paddy beats him easy. A bold statement, no doubt, but one that reflects just how far McGregor's stock has fallen in the eyes of some fighters. As of now, there's no official word on when or if Conor McGregor will return, but despite his withdrawal, he's still posting training clips and sparring footage on social media, fueling speculation that a comeback may still be in the works. So what do you think? Is McGregor still a threat, or has the sport passed him by? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And finally, Alexander Volkanovski has revealed who he wants to fight next, and it's none other than the undefeated Russian powerhouse Movsar Evloev. In a recent interview with Fox News Australia, the former featherweight king opened up about his future plans and explained why Evloev is at the top of his hit list. Volk said, "I did mention Movsar. He's undefeated. I like the fact that he's undefeated and still one of the younger generation. Again, right? I think for the legacy, that would still mean so much." Now let's break that down. Volkanovski is a guy who's already fought the best of the best. He's gone to war with names like Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, and most recently Ilia Topuria. So for him, facing someone like Evloev, a rising, undefeated prospect with a dominant grappling base, is all about testing himself against the next generation and continuing to build on his legacy. But Volk also kept it real. This fight isn't locked in yet. Is that what the fans want? Is that what the UFC wants? I don't know. I'm going to need to talk to them. We'll see what happens. In other words, while he's interested, there are still conversations to be had. The UFC needs to be on board. The fans need to care. And of course, Volkanovski's health has to come first. Speaking about his recovery, Volk gave fans an update on his physical condition, especially after taking some damage in his last fight. But I think my hand is all good. I don't think there are any broken bones. So I'm looking to let this heal up, and I'll get back in there soon. So Volk isn't planning on sitting on the sidelines for long. Once his hand heals, he's ready to jump right back into the fire. And if that comeback fight ends up being against Movsar Evloev, fans are in for a real technical showdown. A clash between a well-rounded veteran champion and a relentless undefeated grappler trying to take his spot at the top. What do you think? Should Volk fight Movsar next? Or is there another name you'd rather see him face first? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. And that wraps up today's update.